Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Rabbir Firli. May God forgive us for the sins that we're conscious of and the sins we're not. Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path, and A'udhu Billah Shaitan Rajim. May God protect us from ignorance and the cursed one. So, hello everyone. You know, guys, just give me a second. I'm trying to find the right song here. Okay, whatever. I've selected a playlist. The songs are going to change as it goes. Here, I know what song to put, actually. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this lecture is about me, one human being, looking at all other human beings and being like, you think you only have the heart of a lion? That's pretty much the whole episode. Now, what do I mean by the heart of a lion? What do I mean by a human being thinking that they have the heart of a lion? That expression holds value for a reason. And the heart of a lion means a human being who their analysis of the situation has made it beyond a barrier. Here, let me bring the notepad. I'm going to use a notepad to explain bravery to you. Anyways. So first of all, guys, I mean, what can the human being do? The human being can talk about the human condition, which I'm doing. We are starting off with the sentence, you think you only have the heart of a lion. See, the heart of a lion, I would say, it's pointing, at least in a humanized context, to what is important to you that makes you take action. For example, people, when it comes to like some random person getting hurt, you know, they don't jump up to like kind of like defend that person. But if a family member of theirs were getting hurt, they jump up like they'd suddenly have the heart of a lion, right? But I think that when it, like, there's this huge fascinating, okay, think of it this way, that I'm not claiming to be a philosopher, and I'm not claiming anything like that. I just want to say, as a human being who was fascinated by how human ideology has moved humans on Earth, when you go to actually look at philosophy, you're actually looking at different sectors of reality, different events in reality. And philosophy is, in some sense, how were those events concluded? How did, for example, Descartes conclude reality? How did Socrates conclude reality? And then what we really find is that, like, think of it this way. There is a game of understanding going on at the same time that the game of life is going on. Okay? And the game of understanding means how deeply aware are you of reality. So I'll give you an example. If I ask you, where are you? Or let's say somebody asked me, okay, okay, let's say I ask someone, where are you? And the person's like, I'm in Canada right now. And I'll tell them, where is Canada? And they'll be like, Canada is a nation of Earth. And I'll be like, where is Earth? Earth is present in the cosmos. And I'll be like, where is the cosmos? And eventually you will come to the conclusion that reality is double-edged, meaning that its meaning is double-edged. Okay, so what it means is that when I look at reality, I'm seeing physical, three-dimensional landscape filled with color and whatever. But what all of that means to me filters in another layer of reality. It's as if what life means has a value to my subjective life. What life is has a value to my objective life. Something meaning something is very different than something being something. Okay? For example, the color blue is a universal. It means blue. But when you get a bunch of colors and you draw a painting, what that painting means to different people is another concern. So before we even get to the point of explaining, like, you know, how can a human being have a heart of a lion and are you even one? Right? We're looking at the human condition and we're realizing that there's an objective life being lived and there's a subjective life. Now, these two are synchronized, meaning that you value the intelligent activity of the human over actually what the shape of things are. So it's like we appreciate verbs more than nouns. That means, like, I appreciate a person. Imagine there's a person standing in front of me. It's as if, do I appreciate that more, or do I appreciate, like, having a conversation with that person? Do you know? So we look at our subjective life. Now, the thing I was telling you about philosophy and sectors was that a sector in reality that fascinated me was not just in regards to just men who have been more active agents in war and battle and history, but mainly the notion of where does the value of the individual arise from? Because you perform in accordance to the value you have. If you devalue yourself, your performance is limited. If you value yourself, your performance increases, right? So we're at this point in human existence where we're, like, honestly wondering, all these human beings around us, like, where do they get their value, and how true can they be to their values, which is what honor is. You see, I find that human psychology has extended itself into many things. I feel that human beings extract value from 4 quadrants, or think of it this way, 4 concentric circles, and ultimately it's like you extract value from yourself. You can tell yourself a story. The species can tell you your story. or you can tell the story of the species, and then the world treats you in a way where you find yourself in a story. So it's kind of like me as a human being. I'm not just sitting here, I'm not just existing here to be like, yo man, I just care how humans treat me. That's not the case. It's kind of like, okay, how do I experience myself? How do I experience my species, how other humans treat me and how I treat other humans? And then how does the world experience me? And then above all of these, how does the system admin experience me when the system admin is in some sense beyond any limited formally way? That means the true value of our sins may be unknown to the human mind that even sins, right? Like the weight of things can be different in accordance to the main operating system compared to the simulated testing zone we find ourselves in reviewing. So to me, I find that the sentence, the heart of a lion, is pretty much the revolution in the human psyche in regards to an advanced self living in an advanced environment. Living in an advanced civilization. You see, in this world, we find that which is man-made, but we also find that which is unknown-made. The system admin moves the system in ways that we cannot understand because the function of the world is not only worldly. So it means that if God is in the room watching everything is a greater value proposition to God than any value proposition any human beings can give. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm saying, like, if you were to compare the experience of one human being and the experience of the system admin, you'll realize the system admin has such an access to the system that to compare intelligence is just a flaw. You see, I find that an advanced being is someone you know what, where I'm going with all of this, folks, is simply this. That the only thing that I think I have that you guys don't is just something in the environment we all are in that I've noticed. And what I have noticed is that the subjective life, like if you looked at the human and you're like, okay, let's look at this system, and we look at this system and we're like, okay, human beings are using subjective technology and objective technology most of the time, but what happens when they realize the limits of the technology you're using? Let me tell you what happens. You stop using that technology. This doesn't mean you stop being an idea. This doesn't mean you stop treating reality as an object. It means that it's a blessing to realize your limitation. Something I didn't understand when I was young. You see, you have a value proposition for yourself, and you have a value proposition for the world. This is basic. This is like basic. Everybody has this. Now, some people wonder about how do I value the world, and they realize that it needed an ignition. That means there's so many ways that it makes sense that there is an owner to the world rather than this place having no owner, having no admin. Like you right now are the system admin of your home, right? Imagine a guest comes into your home, but that guest doesn't know that this home has an owner. You'd be like, get out of here, man. This home has an owner. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the now God, the system admin, is not humanizable for us to fathom a relationship to it, but we try our best, and we come to this view that the system admin is so beyond us that in some sense it's incredible that it is all merciful. Do you know what all merciful means? All merciful means that it's like, I always wondered, like, from what sort of sight view can that sentence have true value? And it's the value of a being that is beyond all values. The only person that can forgive is the person that is ahead of the moment. And there's many ways that situations can be handled. I believe this. I believe in all the interactions I've been in this life. Like, maybe I couldn't understand it then, but years later I could see how many different ways there were to engage that moment. Do you know, it's like being shy when you're young and people would ask you things and you would just kind of like put your head down, right? And then years later being like, I could have said so many different things. And it was as if that psychological freedom wasn't there, because the most important thing you need is to trust the world. So think of it this way: you need to have four levels, four angles of trust that you in some sense cover. So you right now, like for example me giving this talk, do you know how I'm doing this? I'm doing this because I trust myself. I've accepted it. Okay? Then it makes everything easy. But if you don't accept yourself, you're in some sense being kind of deformed by every value proposition, being reformed by every value proposition that comes, right? So I trust myself. Now I'm in this situation where I'm like, okay, I also trust the world. Now that granted, I do trust the world. It's been here longer than us. And I also trust the system admin. But if you tell me, do you trust the species? I would say yes, because I trust the system admin. But I would say I can see ways that the species can behave that is more advanced than this. Like if you look at the sophistication of human intelligence, you don't need to believe in aliens. You just need to kind of go skydiving and look at Earth from outside a little. And you'll get the sense of like, what are human beings doing? Their most intelligent activity is conversation and agreement. That means when two human beings agree on something, that's like you don't hear like the opera music in the back, It's like, yo, are the angels singing opera? No, it's the radio. But what I'm trying to do is to irritate you. I'm trying to piss you off because I'm a little pissed off. And they're like, Mr. Within, are you pissed off from the past or the present? And I'll be like, I'm pissed off that we can imagine so far ahead of how we're living and we're not updating how we're living. What was that like Family Guy thing? It's like, what grinds my gears? Listen, guys, I have, like, the options are simple. As a human being, I could look at the system and be like, one option, I'm going to solo this out, okay? That option, unfortunately, in my shy, introverted youth, I just automatically accepted, okay? But the other option is to be like, okay, I'm human now. It's like they've given me the human uniform. I'm where all the other crew members are. As some people have said, we're on spaceship Earth. And I'm like, okay, what should I be doing as a crew member? What should all the other crew members be doing? This is ridiculous. Are we just chilling in coffee shops, smiling at agreements? Or is there something more to human reality that surpasses our ideological costume games, that unites us as a grander purpose in the presence of the ultimate purpose? And I think people, like, everybody should be cautious of this. Me personally, what's bizarre? They say that people are attracted to people like themselves. I completely disagree. Oh my God, I disagree. Do you understand? Let me tell you why. Because I am always with myself. It's nothing new. Do you understand? It's like there is no freshness to repetition. You see, human beings are doing jobs that robots are, and they're taking pride in it, and that's fine. But I want you to think of it this way, that the way the economical sector is going is that it's like, if I'll give you an example. If in the future I want to start a factory, I just have to pay a giant electric bill. What does this mean? That means human beings, they are right now still doing a lot of things that robots can do. But was the human being designed to just behave robotically, or was the human being designed for its most advanced activity? Do you know? Like, I'll tell you this. I wanted to be a soccer player when I was young. Seriously. You don't understand. I would put so many chairs, and I would dribble between these chairs in the hallway of my home when I was young. To the point that nobody, if I had the ball, nobody around me could get the ball. You know? It was like training. Right? But what I'm trying to say is that I wanted to be a soccer player because that was the mightiest archetype and impression in my reality. But then I realized that it's like, just like how, like, you can kick a soccer ball, there are unanswered deep questions about the nature of the world we're in. That means regardless of how much I kick a soccer ball, like all these celebrities, okay, that are like famous, all of you guys should just like open your open your stage to, in some sense, ushering the species towards a greater understanding that we're living at a time where many things must be considered. But the major thing to be considered is a new definition of man. Do you know, they say, like, they have a lot of like weird sentences, like, when this happens you become a man, when that happens you become a man. But I think ultimately the most, to me, if they're like, who is like a superior man, who is a superior being on this earth, I would be like any person who in the middle of the story of their life, they're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And they choose to go and see it for themselves. That's one thing at least I'm proud of, right? That I was like, okay, what if everybody is deceived and I need to figure this out? Okay, what if everybody is wrong and I need to figure this out? That's when you become a scholar, not when you, have been, clapped for by little hands of the academic system. You know what I mean? By the small reaching hands of the academic systems. Have you ever wondered, what does it mean to be a human? And if you were to do so, you would have to be like, what did it mean to be human in the past? What did it mean to be human in the present? And what does it mean? What is it going to mean to be human in the future? In the future, if you think above 100 years, you can't imagine. Let me tell you why. Because it's going to become more and more dehumanized, potentially. You know, there was a time where I was like, man, I made mistakes, like, why? And then I realized, in the future, there might be generations of humans that never make mistakes. Like, there's too advanced AI, too advanced calculation, too advanced options in the moment for them to make a mistake. And I was like, yo, could I be alive in the historic moment, historic era in history where human beings still made mistakes, where everything was more going based on biological information processing rather than like the true speed of technological prowess? So what it meant to be human in the past And what does it mean to be human in the present? And what does it mean to be human in the future? It's obvious if what it means to be human in the present is different than compared to the past, then the future will be different than now. So I don't know how human beings in the future are going to feel, human, how human they're going to feel in the future. I don't know if in some sense, like, human beings are going to be capable of having like sex as they become more dehumanized and technologically infused. Someone in the chat section says, will we reach singularity? I mean, yeah, it's kind of like, you know what it is? It's kind of like something has a head start than us, then it's gonna hit where we're headed first. You see, that I think what's significant about the intelligence of technology is how human will, again, it all comes down to this. I was talking about this yesterday too. How natural and how human do we want to be? And this goes, collective consensus is different than individual consensus. An individual might be like an old person, right? And the old person's like, man, I can't do much in this body, right? But if I like suddenly go and replace my body parts with advanced, like robotic or some next level thing, then I'll kind of like, be a new person. And the thing is, do you remember when I said you're living an objective life and a subjective life? Technically, your subjective life resets every morning you log into reality again. Do you know what I'm saying? So the question of singularity means when we get to a point where technology surpasses us and it updates itself before, that means we're no longer going to be the most intelligent articulator in the system, in the external system, right? So when it gets to singularity, don't worry. I'm telling you, before we get to the singularity, the humanity has to, in some sense, go through the cultural, I guess, revolutionary cycle of being like, what is the definition of the human? Why do you think I'm here talking about advanced civilizations? You think an advanced civilization, the most advanced possible civilization, you think it doesn't have the most advanced user? That means my whole life has been just like, okay, there's an exit here at some point. What do I do while I'm in the simulation? Become fascinated by it to the degree that I can understand it, and upon understanding it, wondering about where the system is leading. That means to me, God is a higher power. Therefore, I am in a relationship with like, I'm playing the black pieces in chess. God is playing the white pieces. God has made the first move. Okay, and when I live my life, the first thing in the day, like if imagine like mountain climbers, right? They have to like lock in those things into the mountain first and then move up. Similarly, for me, every day I wake up, it's like it's become common that it's like somebody in the room, right? You like if you're alone in a room, you wake up in the morning and you don't say hello to anything. But if you have a system, if you acknowledge that you have a system admin, like, this might sound bizarre. You guys can think of me in whatever light you like, but I have a Lord right now, and that Lord is not limited to form. So I'm not the highest power. I can't even claim to be anything in a simulation, really, in a changing simulation, really. But what I can do is be like, okay, what's more important? Objective relationships, subjective relationships, or a relationship with the original power as a simulated entity. So to me, no idea can be more impressive, no physical occurrence can be more impressive than that moment where the soul finds the acknowledgement of the system admin, notices it. I'm telling you, just like how we look below us and we're like, compared to an ant, sure, we might be a higher power, but compared to what we are an ant to, we're not a higher power. So it's the humility of acknowledging a spectrum of intelligent activity and not being so arrogant that out of fear or ignorance or conditioning or whatever, we're the highest power. It's like, yeah, bro, I'm the highest power. It's like, shut the hell up, You see, I think it all comes down. This really, I think, what separates like the classes of human beings. You either are treating this world as the main event and the final destination, or this world is not the final destination. And if based on your acknowledgement of these, your protocol is different. So I'm a human being. I'm from that class that considers like this is not the main event, that this is a test, that the life of this world, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran says, is delusion. It's delusional enjoyment. Do you understand what I mean? That means it's like the sheep are delusionally enjoying the grass even though being guided to the slaughterhouse. And do you think a shepherd, like imagine a shepherd in like back in the day, like in like one of those like slaughterhouse situations, and the shepherd, do you think a shepherd kills a talking sheep? Like imagine the shepherd has a slaughterhouse, okay, and the shepherd is like, yo man, this sheep talked to me, this sheep acknowledged the higher power moving it, this sheep shouldn't be slaughtered. Sorry, I mean, like this is not the best example, but I'm just trying to tell you that it's important for you to work on your relationships in the four corners of one, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your species and others, your relationship with your world and whatever's in it, and your relationship with the system admin, which is beyond your world. Like that's the point. The point of like, it was as if like, how do you honor the ancients? You put your hand on their shoulder and say, I see what you were pointing to. For me, going back to the notion, like, I think people don't want somebody that is like themselves. And I think it's the same when it comes to truth. You don't want a truth that is like your truth, because your truth is limited. Like, I'll give you an example. Imagine somebody, you know, wanted to get married, and they're like, as an option, you have like, you know, an android wife, a human wife, and a higher being wife. Which would you choose? Like an angelic wife. The wife is legit like an angel. The woman is an angel. Okay? Right? So then the human being, do you see what I'm telling you? I'm saying we are drawn to higher power because of the awareness to our own limited power. And I, like, honestly speaking, I'll tell you, it's like my limitations and the limitations of the species and the world is inspiring me to wonder about the limitless. In my inner vision, and just to tell you something about me, I get bored very quickly when I understand something. Okay? Like, I get kind of like, the excitement leaves the moment when I can normalize reality to some degree. Do you understand? Like, we think there is such a thing as normality, but our DNAs are all different from one another. Our behaviors are different from one another. The normality we acknowledge is just familiarized code, familiarized behavior. Because it's familiar, it feels okay. What normality is like the safety of agreement, or a sort of safety of acknowledgement. And human beings are designed to want higher beings, like want to be in the presence of that which is beyond them, right? So in anything you do, like if right now somebody was like, hey man, The greatest lecture of all time is like sitting in that coffee shop. I'd go and talk to that coffee shop. I wouldn't be like, yo, that guy should come and talk to me. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be like, yo, man, due to time traveling, errors, suddenly, Aristotle is entering the Starbucks, And I'll be like, I'll ignore the fact that you were culturally sick. But aside from that, it's like, what do you think of this? And I think we value that which reveals our dimensions more than that which just keeps our dimensions the same. Similarly, to care about God and the system admin is to care for the unimaginable. You understand? Like, how long can you endure in an empty room? You'll be like, get me out of here. Similarly, the human mind looks at the emptiness of reality and wonders about human legacy and says, no way we're gonna reduce it that far. I'm like, to me, like, I don't want to say atheists, didn't care about the future, but it's as if, like, what do you do with beings that complain, and what do you do with beings that take responsibility? Do you know what taking responsibility means? It means owning a moment. Do you know what owning means? Owning means it's like in your reality. Do you understand? And the aim of, I think, advanced communication for the species is to begin to realize, okay, buddy, you might be in your own advanced reality, but if you're only in your own reality, you're not the most advanced reality. So we've been designed that the true, I would say not methodologies, the true blueprints of the advanced civilization will come about when we realize it's necessary for a collective activity. Do you understand? Here, I'll say it this way. If someone asks you when you open a beehive, why are they shaped hexagonal? Okay? That's an interesting question, isn't it? Why is it hexagonal? Why is it like, they said there is no straight lines in geometry. You open a beehive and you're like, I'm looking at a straight line right now. Like 6 of them. So what does that mean? That means I could be like, yo, man, it's because, of nature. It's because of I could have any sort of, let's say, whatever answer. But whatever answer I have, it's based on the fact that it's the oscillation of how the wings of the bees move in the hive. Okay? So the frequency of how the wings of the bee move shape the hexagons. So whatever opinion I have, it's like magic, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's like, yo, that's the reality of it. Now, when you come to do the same thing with the world, you come and realize you can't, because you don't know that it's not a containable, measurable thing. Pretty much, I'm like, the point of this episode is me saying that in the future generations, and even those like you who are listening from the future, you see, at some point you look at this species and it's very, very fathomable and imaginable that this species will shift. That means if right now we're living as 8 billion scared humans, in the future there are going to be human beings that are not going to have the context of fear that paralyzed us. That means the future generations will be born with a freedom they will never know, like, how we actually suffered. It's like designed like that. Not that they will, like, I don't want to say that. I want to say that the future belongs to the future. We in the present are in some sense setting how, like, shifting the settings of how the future will be accessed by the future. When I'm saying you think you only have the heart of a lion. It's kind of like something I can even say to myself, where I'm like, you think you only care about the advancement of civilization? To me, I think it's built in us. Like it's built in a bee to go and contribute to the beehive. I think it's built in every human that right now we should be in the honor of the main purpose of our species. But we're not. Do you know, it's like there's a time and place for creativity, and there's a time and place for just organized collective action. So the heart of a lion is, it's like, let me say it this way, you're a cub until you realize the responsibility of your position. You have a responsibility to yourself, that's the cub level. Then you have a responsibility to your species. You got to start being like, yo man, what's happening with my species, right? Like your ego has to start being like, okay, no, I'm a human. It's like the Avengers, I'm like dressed for the part. I'm the human. I'm in humanity. What is the effort of all my species? And in some sense, what innovations actually affect the behavioral shifts that shift the possibilities of the future being dehumanized or not? So the heart of a lion, like, to be honest, my opinion is somebody who's responsible for self, species, world, and they're even realizing they are found within the responsibility of the system admin, and yet also they have their own capability. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening. I hope this lecture was engaging. Wonder about yourself in ways that you've never wondered about, and also wonder about, like, okay, what are we all doing here? What if there is a higher power, and how do we build an advanced civilization in the presence of a higher power? Like, all these are fascinating views to kind of, for the species to march towards. Anyways, thank you for listening. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Rabbi Ghfirli. May God forgive us for the mistakes we know and the mistakes we don't. Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path. May the system admin guide the users in the system to the most advanced. May the most advanced guide us in the most advanced way, pretty much. Thank you.